From Significant, this is Crack It in an Hour.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crack It in an Hour. I'm Simon.
I'm Jessie.
And I'm Maria.
And for those of you who've heard us before, you know the deal. It's one problem, 1 hour to crack it once a week. Two of us have no idea what the problem is. One of us brought the problem. And this week it's Maria.
It's my show this week. Oh, this is big.
This is good.
All right. I'm going to start the timer. We have 1 hour to crack it.
Great.
Do you think we're going to do it?
I think so.
Wow,
I think if we, actually, I don't know. I don't know if we are. I really hope that we do. Okay. So I want to talk about neighbors.
Okay.
Which is funny because organically we've all brought up neighbors today, and I've really tried to keep this to myself. But I want to talk about neighbors.
I feel like we started the whole morning with like an entire
talking
conversation
about neighbors.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Neighbors as in like the people who live next to you. I feel like that doesn't need clarifying.
I've been
but just in
texting with a
case
neighbor
it does.
today.
Oh, there we go.
Two of them,
amazing.
actually. Yeah.
But why this needs cracking? So we are spending more time at home than ever, but less time talking to the people who live the closest to us. So we are. Stats to support it.
Wow.
That's my favorite part. I have all the stats.
I knew you'd bring stats.
Oh, I've got the stats. Trust me. So in 2012, so like over a decade ago, nearly 6 in 10 Americans regularly talk to their neighbors. Today, it's fewer than 4 in 10. So a decline in nearly a third. Among young adults, neighborly connections has been cut in half, falling from 51 to just 25%. Here's the strange part, though. So it's not because we don't trust our neighbors. 72% of people say they do. 88% want to live somewhere where people look out for one another. It also has nothing to do with the type of place that you live. So renters and homeowners talk to their neighbors at roughly the same rate as do people in apartments, detached homes. We're also, we're not moving more. So we're actually moving less than we were a decade ago. So we're staying in place longer. We trust the people around us. We want neighbors who will look out for us, and yet we're not talking to them. So the question is, how do we get people talking to their neighbors again?
That's such a good, like, classic bracket topic.
Thank you.
It's a very good topic, and you don't need to know the answer to this, but
what is
there
a neighbor?
any? No.
Oh my God.
Is there any why? Like, I can imagine why it's good to talk to a neighbor, but were there any specific data points? Like, I imagine it's community, benefits. It's connection, it's all of that sort of stuff.
Community, connection. I think just also like people you would never encounter before.
Totally.
You are just not in your social sphere.
Yeah.
Just organic connection. Mm-hmm. I mean, safety is that's a obvious good point too. Right? Yeah. Convenience. I think convenience has been sort of removed over the past decade, and we should get into that. I think that's a huge part of it.
Do you talk to your neighbors?
I do.
I do. Jessie?
Yeah, I do quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I've been to a party at Maria's neighbor's house, and it was delightful. And I want to tell what I loved about it. It was 4th of July, right? It was 4th of July, and he hosted a party. And my favorite thing about it is his fridge was full of food and other things. So he came over to Maria's place and was like, "Hey, can I fill your fridge with wine?" And they were like, absolutely.
Of course.
So he had like all the drinks in their fridge.
And like 30 bottles of wine
in their fridge. But it was just lovely. It was like just such a lovely,
neighborly,
neighborly, wonderful.
And what was so nice about it, like we are very different ages.
Yes.
There was not many circumstances.
He's 7 years old.
He's 7 years old.
Why do you have all that
wine? 7 years old.
That's not the topic.
We bought him wine.
Yeah.
No, add a 0 to that. No, it's just, there's not many environments in which like we would have,
totally,
and so it's such it's special that you.
I agree.
Yeah. And I know you talk to your neighbors. Simon.
Well, like my next door neighbor, I was talking, I think earlier, he's 92.
Yeah.
But he still plays tennis every day. Not every day. I should say 2 or 3 times a day.
I think I've been at your place once when he came over with like fruit or something from his tree.
He has passion fruits he always gives, and I give him lemons. So it's
cute.
like a thing.
So nice.
Trading.
And then I live on a cul-de-sac, as I think has been mentioned here, but like there's literally like 4 neighbors all at the end, and like there's one I talk to and I'm friendly with, but I'm not particularly like close to. But the other 3 are like people I see or hang out with.
Were you as close with your neighbors pre-COVID as you are now?
So it's funny. I was actually thinking about when you mentioned the renters thing. And I remember in San Francisco, when I was renting, we were still very close with our downstairs neighbors and then a neighbor across the way as well. So I think so. Now, let me be clear. Like, I think having a family and our kids all being the same age probably took it to the next level. But I don't know if it was COVID specifically that took it to the next level.
Like, because I think about, everybody had their COVID pod situation. And like I rent, and in my building, it's not a very large building. There's maybe only 12 units in the whole building. So we all know each other. And it kind of naturally was a pod during COVID because we have an outdoor space, a shared outdoor space. And so at some point during COVID, we were all just hanging out together outside by the pool. And it kind of became like, I think I'm closer to some of my neighbors because of that.
That makes sense. Yeah, totally.
But I was wondering if that was just
a reason to bring people together. Too.
COVID benefits.
But it doesn't seem like that's helped.
Yeah, but to your point, it hasn't. Yeah, that's a good point.
According to the statistics.
No, it hasn't. So are your kids friends with your neighbors?
Yeah, I think my kids are. It's actually a kind of a throwback to what I remember as a kid, which is like, their neighbors aren't their best friends, but they're friends.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like most of their best friends live on other streets. Frankly, most of them live in the neighborhood, 1 or 2 blocks away, because they all go to a neighborhood school. But the ones on the end are more like, one will come over and be like, hey, we're playing baseball. Do you want to play? And we'll be like, sure. And like, go out and play. You know what I mean?
See, because one of what I thought was so pronounced was how the drop in younger adults who just don't talk to their neighbors anymore. And I think that's because of like the connection that you could make through just Roblox or going on like YouTube to meet someone versus like throwing a rock over the fence to like come outside and like hang out and play. Right?
I don't think those are the only two options. Maria's like, if you're not on Roblox, if you're chucking rocks over the fence.
That's it.
That's it. Riding tricycles down the street. We don't have kids.
Only way. Right. Like, Simon, tell us about kids these days.
Kids do with their neighborhood
How
friends.
do they make friends?
I have like early guesses as to why this could be happening, and then I guarantee you some anthropologists would be like screaming into the podcast at this point. But
I'll pretend to be that anthropologist.
Yeah. Imagine like a lot of this is just like, I think we just live in a time, in a society, specifically in America, where like people are a lot more afraid of the other than they used to be.
Yeah,
totally.
Absolutely. What I mean? Yeah.
I mean, did you watch that documentary? Maybe it came out about 6 months ago, or maybe that's just when I watched it. I think it was called The Worst Neighbor or The Best Neighbor or something. It was terrifying.
Horrifying.
Horrifying. Yeah. And it was dark. It was really, really dark. And it was like this woman who was so convinced that she was the quintessential best neighbor, but she was truly harassing everybody else in the neighborhood. And ultimately people died. She
resulted in a murder.
It resulted in a murder.
Yes. Okay, that's an extreme.
No, she murdered.
She murdered someone.
Was the murderer.
But she still thought she was a good neighbor?
Yes. She was like, I'm the best.
Convinced.
All she ever did was call the cops on these kids. Like, she didn't want the kids playing in her yard. She called the cops on all the neighbors like once a week. And then she was like, I don't know what the issue is. Like, I'm such a good neighbor. I'm such a good neighbor. And, it was a really intense documentary, but
she's crazy.
She was crazy.
Yeah. She had a lot going on.
But but to your point, I do think that there is, all of us are, I maybe wouldn't have even thought of it because here we are, 3 samples, and all of us have good neighbor experiences. But there are so many people who have and actually there's the show, I think it's literally called Neighbors, which is just a series of mini stories of insane neighbors.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I know.
Crazy
there are
stories.
Some true horror stories out there. I also think over the past 10 years or so, boundaries have just become such a virtue.
Yeah.
And what makes a good neighbor today is you leave me the hell alone.
Well, I find
it's so like counterintuitive.
It
is.
Yeah. It really is.
Like you need to respect my boundaries thing is
and then
like
you're like,
its
I'm
own
lonely.
worst enemy.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
I know,
lonely because
I know.
you set so many damn boundaries that you don't have any
Exactly.
friends anymore. Like,
Right.
what do you-
Yes.
it's your own fault.
Another stat that I found was 41% of Americans say knocking on a neighbor's door just feels too bold. Like,
What?
and also 22% feel awkward just making the first move. So it's like, it's not that
my
like I don't
God.
like you.
Bunch
It's
of
like I don't know
babies.
if I'm allowed to bother you. Like we're all just
It feels too bold.
It
Those
feels
people should
too
get themselves
bold.
in a hot air balloon.
yeah.
Feel a little adrenaline.
My neighbors.
Yes.
I have the
That's
opposite
it. That's
problem
how
with
we
some of
crack
my
this.
neighbors. But like, I think it's easy enough to establish and be able to tell from like, it's just reading social cues a lot of the time. I mean, I shouldn't say like, whoa, that's
Right.
we're a bunch of idiots. Like, I mean, it sounds like there's a problem here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think as to like, what we're a tough group
Okay.
because all three of
So,
us don't have an issue with this. Like, I wish we could ask someone that was more like,
yeah, I got a bad
what say
neighbor.
you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I have dealt with bad neighbors.
I dealt with bad neighbors.
Like,
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting as a renter who lives in a building, usually what happens is if there's one or two bad neighbors, everyone else sort of rallies together, and usually
it's over.
that person ends up leaving after a year or so. Like they're not renewing the lease.
Right.
Like they kind of weed themselves out. But what I wanted to bring up was next door. Because
Next door is
I'm
the
really
worst.
curious.
It's the worst.
I know. And
It's the
I
worst.
find this really
Yeah.
interesting because where my head was starting to go is like, if people are afraid to make in-person contact, maybe the solution, like literally what I played out in my head was, all right, maybe the solution is we play to people's behaviors. We let people text each other first because that's where they're comfortable. And then once you've texted a lot, you then feel comfortable. And I was like,
Totally.
okay, cool. A platform. I'm like, wait, that's basically what Nextdoor was. It's a way. I mean, it wasn't for social necessarily. It was more for watchdog sharing, but it is like a cesspool.
It's a cesspool. And the other thing about it too is
really.
like, this is that thing of like, I swear we've talked about this, which is like, there's a point where more information is actually bad.
Yeah.
And like Nextdoor, I think is like a good example of that, which is like, there's a, hey, heads up, there's a coyote in the neighborhood. And then it's all anyway. And like, have you seen the coyote?
It's like the
coyote?
coyote. The bears are
oh my
coming.
God, everyone's got to watch the coyote. The coyote's a thing. Like, we all got to be careful about the coyote. And I'm like, if you see the coyote, make a loud sound and run away.
Clap.
It is not looking to like
maul
like,
you and your
I
children.
no, you know what I mean? But it's like, and then you, oh my God.
The coyote.
And like, but it's like kind of the same thing I have. And I know I'm in the minority with this, which is like, when we moved into our house, when we were like attempting to purchase it, the house, both internally and externally, was just covered in Ring cameras.
Yeah.
To the point where when I was talking to we did a walkthrough and I was about to say something and my realtor was like, shh, shh. And then we had to walk down the block and she's like, okay, what did you think? There's just a million cameras in there. I didn't want them to. And I was like, oh God. And like, there's this thing I think too, which is like everyone's monitoring everything
it's the new
all
neighborhood
at the
watch.
same time. Then on top of that, you also have Nextdoor. And it's like, can you not just let the outside not be a thing in your life?
But I think it's a great point because I think part of the problem is we've sort of like outsourced the need for neighbors in a way, right? If you think about it, like Nextdoor.
Give it to corporations who are selling our information.
Totally.
Yeah.
Nextdoor. Ring has become like the neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
Amazon has like replaced the need to go ask your neighbor for like a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever done that?
Yes.
I
really
literally asked for butter last week.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, my neighbor, this is the story I told you this morning, but last night I got home from the office and I literally couldn't get into my apartment. My key just would not work in the door. Yeah. And what's funny is I'm actually friends with pretty much everyone in the building. And even then I didn't text anybody. I just stood at my door for like 10 straight minutes, just like I was jiggling the key. I was like, well, this is a real bummer. Like I can't get in, but I know eventually this door will open. So I'm just going to stand here. Out comes one of my neighbors and she was like, what is happening? I'm like, I can't get in the apartment. She was like, hold on, I might have some WD-40. She goes inside. She comes back out. This is the best. I love her. She comes back out. She's like, I don't have any WD-40, but I have some avocado oil spray. I bet that'll work. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So we're at the door, and then the other neighbor comes out and she's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, my key won't work. And she was like, I have WD-40. So we're
That's
like,
amazing.
So she goes back out. She comes out. She sprays it in the thing. I'm in the apartment.
See, that's cool.
And it was awesome. And I was like, my God, my hero. I love both of you. So good. But it's funny that I also thought I would just stand there until it eventually.
Like, this is it.
You didn't instinctually go ask for help.
I didn't want to bother anyone. I'm like, I know it'll do its thing. But I do think this is like, there are still things you can't outsource. Like I was never going to get to the point where I was going to call a locksmith to like come open this door.
Yeah.
And I wonder if those moments are the ones that you have to utilize to try to create connection. I that might be too many steps ahead.
But you're bringing up, okay, so I want to take this a level higher, and it's actually kind of a little bit connected. And there's one other one I can think of like that, which is like, asking for help is something I think, I have no stats behind this, I think we do less in public than we used to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Based on a lot of what you're saying too, a lot of this has been outsourced, right? We don't ask for help the same way we used to. And I think there used to be a lot more acceptance for things being done in a way you don't necessarily agree with. And let me give you an example is parenting. I remember growing up, if I was being a little shit, and my parents didn't see it, but another parent did, I might get scolded by that other parent.
Totally.
In my neighborhood, if someone scolded another kid, I think there would be tremendous backlash.
It would be on next door.
It'd be on next door. Exactly.
Call on the ring camera. Ends up on next door.
So now suddenly I think what you're creating, like if I'm just thinking about this for a second, it's like these behaviors that used to be sort of like fundamental and easy entry points into sort of neighborhood kind of chatting are two things that right away are like,
terrifying.
Less familiar, a little more less comfortable than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's fair. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But then it's, and to your point on like, there's the moments where you need help. I don't know if we want to create more of those moments for people to bring neighbors together. But how do we create like more July 4ths? More July 4ths, more Halloweens.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got an idea that I think is unrealistic, but let's go there. And I'm gonna make an argument for why it should be realistic. I think you should put the responsibility on landlords. I'm gonna stick with like renters for a minute because that's my world. And I think it's like, I think that landlords would actually benefit from people in the building actually liking each other and working together. So on the surface, it sounds like it's not my job. I don't give a shit if you people talk to each other, but actually if we're all collaborating, you guys all happy. We become a functioning micro community. We literally take care of shit. We take care of the building. We take care of each other. We take care of the shared space. We're all operating as a unit. We're helping each other. Probably people don't even call the landlord as much. There's less drama. So I think the landlords should be responsible for hosting, let's say 4 times a year, they throw a building party or like whatever it is, or offering, I
love it.
Like a little happy hour, anything, right? It could be anything. It's like,
your goal is to build connections. It's going to be financially helpful to you.
The return on investment, I believe, I'm willing to say the return on investment for a landlord to maybe 4 times a year fund a party for the building and like kind of organize it and make it happen.
To buy some hot dogs and beer.
Totally. And then be like, hey guys, building party Friday night, 5 p.m., happy hour, snacks and wine, have a good time. Foster the connection. And I guarantee the return for the building function and like care would be high.
I agree.
Definitely. Keeps people there too.
Keeps people there. Yeah. The turnover. Those are your people.
Like you don't want to leave.
Yeah.
All of that beneficial to the landlord.
Can the responsibility be on brands in any way? We're saying it's on landlords. I think like the brands are sort of part of this problem. If we're saying not part of the problem, but
I think in solving some of the things that they've solved, it's created part of the problem.
Right.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. But maybe in the same way, like I think that some brands could benefit from you close like the last mile or like the local resource if TaskRabbit introduced like Task Neighbor. Right. And that's like rather than finding people who are further away to solve local problems, like get people who are in the community to help people out, help your
There's
neighbor out.
You're like designing, because like what I think could be really interesting is like, let's just build an app for a second.
Here we
which
go.
is like, if you built a social network that instead of it being, social networks, like a social network from 10 years ago, like when they were actually social networks,
when they were actually
when
social
they weren't just
networks.
content feeds. But if you built a social network that was based on proximity and things you're helpful with, handy with, know about, can do, availability, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not Nextdoor, because I think Nextdoor is more just basically a
gossip
I don't know
engine.
how you call it, rag. Yeah, exactly. But like, then you have this interesting thing where it's like I think where my head went to was like, does being a neighbor need to have a surface more reflective of the ones people interact with nowtimes?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is where you're going, but these are the moments where I'm like, my God, if the algorithm wanted to use its powers for good, it really could. Because if you had that social network of 10 years ago, let's say I'm with you on that, and everyone's profile was like, the way you set up your profile was like, I'm really handy. Yeah, totally. I'm actually a trained electrician.
I always have sugar.
I'm a baker. I always have sugar, you know, and then you're like, okay, I'm in search of
you
blank.
You move somewhere, you download it, and it's a quick thing that allows you to familiarize
and immediately you can filter
Ask
by
me
need.
about ...
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome
I know we
people to
talked
the
about this
community.
on our DIY episode, because I know like my brother is very handy. He's an engineer and he really likes to fix things. And so he goes around, he basically, all of his neighbors, he's like, no, don't call a repairman for that. I'll come over and take care of it. And he's talked about hosting classes at his house to just show people like basic functions. Like in his own home, he's like, I'll take apart the light switch and show you how you can put it back together if you ever need to do this, or how you replace the hinge on the door, or how you just like little things, which I always think was such a brilliant idea. But I like this. I like the idea of you could so easily build this into like a searchable, taggable app, and then just use it as a utility platform.
Exactly.
Somebody would make it horrible at some point, but
definitely.
it would start with good intention.
It would start with great intentions.
Yeah. And then slowly get destroyed.
Yeah. And then slowly get destroyed.
State Farm, make the good neighbor network.
Oh my God.
Make this a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wait. How does a brand that stands for good neighbor not yet truly own
being a good neighbor?
Yeah, it could be. That's a huge opportunity.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. I know.
State Farm.
Yeah.
I want to see
Also,
that.
I could make an argument that it would help lower the chance of trouble.
That they would have to pay out.
Right.
Like I think State Farm, it behooves State Farm to have stronger neighborhoodly connections.
If everyone's looking out for one another.
Everyone's looking out for everyone.
Yeah.
You're going to get less claims on things.
Right.
Even they could be
my God.
Even they could be the thing that's funding the landlords to fund the thing, like they could provide the infrastructure for the landlord. To me, this is like community building 101. And in terms of brand community, it could be quite interesting.
It is weird.
I
mean, when you think about what you're talking about, it is, and the algorithms being turned to good, it is weird that it is like, this is like incredibly doable. Like so easily do. Like if Facebook tomorrow, I'm just using Facebook because they have a big network. Literally tomorrow was just like, all right, cool. We changed the UI. Now it's literally just going to be about like who lives near you, what they can do, and what they want to talk about.
Yeah. It would just be a simple
that's
filter.
a literal social network.
Like, what I think is, I'm shocked. And to be fair, I don't have Facebook, so I don't think this is how it works, but I couldn't say for sure. In theory, you can just layer that into Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. And to me, it's a real missed opportunity to think of Marketplace as only an e-commerce network. If you think of like a traditional marketplace, it's like goods, services, barter, trading. Yeah. And so if they just even expanded the concept of Marketplace and built it straight into that, because I mean, in theory, Marketplace was, I know some people drive very far to find something, but in theory, it is like a neighborhood radius of like somebody near you is selling a table and you want that table. But I'm shocked if it's not already built into it, why it's not.
I'd be curious. You know what I'm curious about? I'd be curious how much neighbors inform people moving.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'd be very interested to know.
Like a bad neighbor, you mean?
Like a bad neighbor. And also like, let's use the flip side. Dare to use the flip side of like, do people check on like, what are those neighbors like before they move in somewhere or something like that? You know what I mean? And stuff like, cause like, I think like what you're touching on is the idea of like, how do we get people to be more neighborly is a great thing. And I also wonder how many people live on such an island. It's just a foreign concept. Right. It's like me going to my kids and being like, so there's this thing called a VCR. Right. You know what I mean? They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Just like no desire to have any form of neighborly connection.
Exactly. Because they've never lived with it. They've never understood it. And it's not something they're particularly interested in starting to pursue now.
Yeah. Well, this is also where I think it's generational too. Yeah. And I think it's easy for us to sit here and because we've grew up with neighborly connections. Like we knew what it was like to have, and we still have that. But again, this is where I go back to like for a younger generation and not to like fall into generational tropes, but for a younger generation who doesn't know the value or the benefits of having like close neighbors.
What did you say is the difference between it?
So for young adults, only 25% talk to their neighbors.
It's interesting. Do you think
that's such a small percent?
So let's talk about that for a second. Do you think that's because they aren't interested, because it's the awkward barrier? Yeah. Is it all of the above? Is it not having enough familiarity? Because here's like a thing I will say about myself as a young person, which was like
You're still young.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. I know I am 17. The thing. When I was younger, I always found, and it was something I was always very impressed by with my wife, was that I was incredibly uncomfortable with older people. Yeah. Like I did not like it. I didn't understand how to talk to them.
Oh, interesting.
I was just not like that person. And my wife, only child who grew up with her parents, was constantly among her parents' friends. Yeah. Is like, Roy, you old son of a bitch, how are you? You know what I mean? And I was like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't know how to talk to 50-year-olds. You know what I mean? So like, it is like one of those things too, that I'm just curious. Cause I would bet on the fact that like these people have comfort talking to people their own age. Right. And I'm curious how much of it is related to that.
I also wonder if it's life stage more than generational, because which is part of what you're saying. But the other thing I was thinking is like, I'm going to just like speak in stereotypes and generalities for a second, which is when you're like, let's say in your 20s, you're most active in like going out with your friends. You get home, you don't care if it's 8 p.m. already. You're still going to go out and like go. Yeah. Who cares? Sleep doesn't matter.
Pre-drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I wonder if there's just less of like, you're so active out of the home with your friends that you're not thinking about it. However, I will say like there is data now that's showing that less of that is happening. So when there is less like social connection in general. So it might just also be a bit of a, it might be both. I
think it's also like probably just something you grow into. Maybe this stat might be a bit flawed too, because think of it. The percent of homes that have someone else your age as a child living in proximity to you, far less than, just the chance to engage with a neighbor.
Are you guys ready for one of the worst ideas I've ever had on this podcast?
I'm so ready. Please go.
I'm going to be really excited if you're like, that's actually the best idea I've ever heard.
It's probably great.
It's pretty bad. I was thinking about, all right, what could bring neighbors together? And then I thought, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to manufacture a bunch of micro disasters. That's a term I've created in neighborhoods. For example, we're going to set loose a puppy in a neighborhood and then send out a blast that's like, there's a lost puppy. Because let me tell you, nothing like a lost dog in the neighborhood will bring out the neighbors to work together to try to find the puppy. And then, but like, we're in control of the situation to a degree. I think there's low probability of the puppy getting harmed.
May I go a step further with your idea?
Yes, of course.
Which is, you could do a real like that was the point all the time, which is like, hey, here's my bad idea.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, what's up? I'm a neighbor consultant. My name's Simon. I'm going to come to your neighborhood and I'm going to make you all become more neighborly. Hire me. And then I'm like, at day one, I'm like, this is my puppy, Josh. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, all right, let's get into our conversation here. Let's talk about, oh no, Josh ran away. And then they all get together and think, and I go, that was the point all along.
And then you're like, so it's like
$1 million, please.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens to the puppy?
I get them every week.
Okay.
I got to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of little micro disasters. Let me tell you, like living in West Hollywood this past week, having 2 water mains explode in the neighborhood. Woo, whole neighborhood came together. Everyone's like making sure everybody had bottled water. Like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was standing outside looking
there
at
is something to be said about like the friends you make in the trenches.
Exactly. The friends you make in the trenches. So how can you make controlled micro disasters in
Okay, let me ask you a question though. Do you think that would help long term?
Yes. I thought this through because in my hometown this past winter, my parents were babysitting my dog and the dog escaped.
Right.
And and I didn't grow up in a neighborhood, right? We all know I'm from a very small town. So it's like neighbors, but everyone's really spread out. But like it was posted on Facebook and everyone was out hiking in the woods looking for this dog. The mailman was like driving around looking for the the mailman is the one who ended up finding the dog and like stuck the dog in the mail truck. And to this day, every single time my mom goes to the post office, it's like conversation. Like at the very least, it created
more neighborly behavior.
It's not like everyone's hanging out now, but there's a sense of connection. There's like conversation. People are talking to each other. The mailman was still always excited about it.
That's interesting.
So
Sweet
I do think that's why I was like, we're gonna set puppies loose.
I like the puppy angle. I like the dog angle.
Yeah.
I do. There's this one.
It's very dark. Like just calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, maybe not like letting a dog loose, like losing the puppy.
Like sometimes we don't find them.
Yeah, like I think there's like a softer way into it potentially.
Can't it just be the flip side? Can't you just have like parties
or like dog
potlucks,
play dates?
Yeah,
the same way you get kids together. Can we have dog play dates?
But I really do believe the friends you make in the trenches. Yeah. I think it bonds people more strongly than sometimes the good time.
Yeah, I just think if your neighborhood requires trauma bonding to be neighborly, I'm like,
listen,
things have gone quite far. I like your idea. I'm just challenging.
What if we created like a hinge for dogs in the neighborhood?
That's cool.
Explain that one step further so I don't misinterpret it.
Okay. So there's this one dog, Pickles, who Hudson, he loves her.
Hudson is Maria's dog.
Hudson's my dog. He's a little French bulldog and he just adores this dog. And like Hudson's a French bulldog / Boston Terrier. This other dog, Pickles, is a French bulldog. Hudson doesn't like many dogs, but he loves Pickles. And we like go looking for Pickles at the park.
That's good.
And so we always talk to Pickles' owner whenever we see her at the park. So sure. So she's kind of a neighbor. She lives around us because it's the local park. But if we could create like a dog dating app where you match, and we know like the kind of dogs that Hudson likes. He has his types.
Yeah.
And so like I could swipe through an app to find the dogs that Hudson would be into. And like I could, that would.
I'm so aligned.
We could refine.
I think dogs in general bring neighbors together.
Dog bait.
Yeah.
I think like as a man who went from no dogs to 2 dogs very quickly, I've noticed how much more it's like, I stop and talk to people with dogs. Yeah. I find a lot of people when you're walking a dog though, will have their dog and you're like, great, my dog will talk to your dog. And they'll take the dog and go across the street and keep walking. And I always find that a weird move.
Okay. Well, so I do that.
Okay. So explain, is it just because you're worried the dog's
Because I think that people who have friendly dogs assume all dogs are friendly.
Yeah.
And so they don't realize, like my dog is not friendly to every dog.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm really careful because I don't want to be, and if I'm ever creating an interaction, it's in a scenario where I can first speak clearly, like, hey, my dog's not always friendly. It's 50-50. If you're comfortable taking a shot here, we can. And if they're like, oh yeah, it's no worries, let's find out, we find out. But some people don't even engage. And what I find interesting is when I start to cross, if you can tell when someone's just like, I got a friendly dog, no big deal. And you're like, yeah, but mine's not.
Yeah.
So I start to cross and then they'll always shout out, oh, don't worry, he's friendly. And I'm like,
I don't do that.
And I'm like, I know she's not.
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting. Like,
well, it's probably because they assume because your dog's smaller.
Exactly. And so you have to be, if you have a dog who is particular, as mine is, you have to be like really on alert, because most other people, if they have a friendly dog, they're just like, cool, my dog's friendly.
Dog's friendly. What's the problem here?
No. Yeah. And we have a lot of off-leash dogs in our neighborhood. And a lot of times they'll come running up and I'll pick my dog up. And the owners are always like, oh, don't worry, he's friendly. I'm like, mine's not. You like,
that's bold. Off-leash is bold.
It's wild.
Especially in Hollywood.
It's crazy. And I'm like,
see, in the middle of Manhattan too. I'm
thank
like,
God
that's just
she's
wild.
Small.
That's crazy.
Okay, I love the dog angle.
Yeah. What else? How else can we torture dogs?
I want to bring us back a little bit.
Yeah, neighbors.
Because I think that dogs are part of it.
Yeah.
Because kind of what we're circling around is like, what's like the modern equivalent of borrowing like a cup of sugar, like Simon would look for is butter, right?
Yeah,
and like
for me it's butter.
Walking, and for Simon it's butter. But like walking someone's dog, I think that used to be, right? That's what WAG has sort of replaced in some way, just to keep it on the dog topic. But like, what's the modern cup of sugar, if you will, and like what neighbors used to do for each other that we've sort of replaced in some ways. I think the picking something up for someone is what Amazon has, just with overnight delivery.
I do think it's super utility, but definitely I think even with Amazon, I do still see can you get that package for me?
Yes.
Like that is one thing that does still exist. Like if you don't have a doorman or like
that's a good one.
You know, like I have a neighbor.
I'm traveling for the next week. Do you mind grabbing my packages?
Grab my packages. Like, that's a huge one that actually does still exist.
Yeah.
Or if it's I have one of my neighbors works in the wine industry, and one time wine got delivered and it can't stay outside in the heat. And he was like, can you just bring it inside and I'll come get it later? So I think it's like almost a new need created by the Amazon thing. Yeah. But it's so like momentary that I don't know that it creates a lot of like major neighbor connection.
Yeah. Or even just like
one,
returning a package to someone when the wrong package is delivered to your house. Ooh. Like every time you brought that to the right house, you got like a credit from Amazon. Are you, Simon?
Yeah. Like if something gets delivered to your house, that's not yours.
Just kind of never open it.
Simon. Okay, well,
sorry, I want to be Amazon. Clear. I do eventually like, I'm not a monster.
You're a monster.
But like what I often do, I find is, I should be clear, I don't return it as quickly as I should.
Yeah.
Like what I'll do is I'm like, I'm kind of busy, and then I won't get around to it for like 6 days. And they'll be like, weird, I already canceled this. And I'm like, sorry.
Well, whoops.
And I'm like, well, now you got 2.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just had this happen last week, and I was not able to retrieve my package from the building next door.
But if you brought it over to the person and now you've said hi to that person, neighborly connection, and
you get $1. Yeah.
You got $1 from Amazon. Now you got $1.
Oh, that's cool.
Sick.
That's cool. Amazon pays you to fix.
Amazon pays you
$1.
No, they don't.
Maybe
but that's
more than
$1.
Like
I was like, this is a very strange number. Here's $1.
They give you $10.
I'm like, cool, like half a chocolate bar.
10 Amazon bucks for
10
returning,
Amazon bucks.
for fixing
$8.
the mysterious.
For the value of that product, they give you those dollars.
What do you think it means to be a good neighbor?
Oh, I think it means being kind, being nice. Like,
I think what's interesting about,
that was a terrible answer.
I think there is a passive and active side to being a good neighbor. And I think most people live only in the passive side. The passive side is how you keep your home, right? Are you being quiet enough? Are you being clean enough? Like there's your responsibility. And then there's the active side, which is, can I help you?
Yeah.
Let me take that for you. Oh, let me hold the door for you. And then there's the more friendship. The active has the spectrum all the way up to real friendship. But I think what's interesting about this is, and maybe this is part of the opportunity, is what was the starting problem you had, Maria? Like, how did you word it? We're
spending more time at home than ever, but less time talking to the people who live the closest to us.
What's the problem to crack?
How do we get people talking to their neighbors again?
How do we get people talking to their neighbors again? Okay, this is great, because that doesn't have to mean friendship.
Yes.
No, not at all.
And I do think that's part of where we're trying. Yeah. You could be a real nightmare, but you are using your
How do we get neighbors to fight again?
You still suck.
Yeah.
Like, I think your
Simon.
question's a really interesting one, Simon, because friendship is all the way at the end of that active spectrum.
Yeah.
But you can be helpful, you can be delightful acquaintances, you can be friendly, but not like, that doesn't have to mean that you hang out every weekend. And so I think it's interesting to sort of, even when I think of like the old school like neighbor relationship, it was a lot more friendship based.
Right.
And maybe that's part of, it's just a perception thing, and where it's like, the two ends of the spectrum don't have to be friendship and not talking to your neighbor at all.
Yeah.
And there's a whole world in the middle. And I think people think that like you're trying to start a friendship with your neighbor, but you don't have to do that. But you can still talk to them. You can still be active in their lives, but you don't have to be friends.
Do you think people talk less to all strangers than they used to?
Yes, definitely.
Right?
I think so.
Too.
I think that's part of it as well.
Like Franny, my dog, pees in a handstand, and
no one addresses it.
And every single time she pees in a handstand, and I walk this dog multiple times a day, and every single time that she gets up in a handstand to pee, and someone walks by me and says nothing.
Has anyone ever said anything?
Like twice in 8 years.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, how is nobody, like, truly, I'm looking around like, does no one want to say anything about this? Like, please talk to me.
Maybe they're like, oh God, that poor woman probably doesn't want to hear about her weird dog.
Like,
they don't know
or
what to
that
say.
Lady's weird. Why did she teach her dog to do that?
Yeah.
To be clear, I didn't teach my dog.
You're like, talk to me. Look, I'm going to train my dog to do weird peeing. I'm so desperate.
I did not train her to do this.
It's like, now she's wearing the weird pants, and
she's got a little skirt on. And she's in her handstand.
Yeah, exactly. She's got clown makeup on. It's a whole thing.
I didn't train her to do it.
Oh my gosh.
She just did it on her own. I don't know why.
Because I think you're talking about something interesting. Like, I mean, it's good to go back to the original phrasing, which is like, people are talking to strangers less. And obviously, I don't want to go the like, well, phones, but obviously phones are part of it too. And then I'm just trying to think of like, but the weird thing is like, you just run into neighbors so much.
Right.
That like, if I tried not to talk to my neighbors, I'd look like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, but I think you hit on something before too. And like being a neighbor, or the idea of a neighbor, carries like more of an expectation than I think it has to. Like, people think that, being like a good neighbor means that you are just going to be friends and you're going to just pop by for dinner all the time. And it's like very loaded, and maybe in your home is a retreat, and it's like away from the world and everything else, that I don't want to open that door. I don't want to potentially create that connection in which I don't feel like I now have this safe space away from like the outside world. But like, it doesn't have to be at that extreme.
So you think it's partially that people now think, man, being a neighbor sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like something I got to be. Right. It's not just like I can passively go like, good weather today, Jim. See ya.
Yeah. And if I'm friends with my neighbor that are over all the time.
I think to your question at the beginning, Simon, of like, what are the benefits of being a good neighbor or having a good neighbor? I think it's like a classic example of how do you help people see the actual benefit of just these small neighborly acts, right? Like, just saying hi to my neighbor every day, it makes me feel nice. And having somebody smile and be like, oh my God, I love your outfit today. Oh my God, thank you. Totally. And I think that, I'm imagining if we were having like a conversation about this on a bigger stage, people's mindset, I think, would be like, but I don't want to be friends with my neighbor. And we're like, no, we're not saying you have to, because the benefit is not only felt at the most extreme level of this. All of these little micro interactions, just saying hi to people during the day, just knowing that you could help someone if you needed to, or they could help you if you needed it. These mini things have so much benefit that I think sometimes just because I think we live in a culture in general of like, big value, big reward, big act. Everything feels like it needs to be bigger than what it is. And I think maybe that's it, is just helping people see the value and like, I don't know, create a challenge. This is so dumb, of like, say hi to your neighbor like every day for the next 2 weeks and see how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, actually I feel a lot better.
Yeah. We did an episode where neither of you were in it, but it was how do we encourage small talk? And it was literally about that. Like, cause it was just like the benefits of small talk are like actually like low key big.
Yeah.
And it's a similar thing. And I think this is kind of like what you're talking about is kind of bringing me back to a lot of that sort of stuff, which is like, just like the smallest, most benign human interactions are like kind of incredibly important to our like mammalian sort of primal sort of belief of belonging and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it.
I love when people say good morning to each other.
Yeah.
Like, love it. And when people don't, I'm always like, oh man.
Yeah.
But sometimes I say it and they don't say it back.
Really?
It happened to me this morning. It's disappointing.
Yeah. And you're like, damn.
You're like, good morning. And they're like,
it's
just kept walking.
Nothing.
Weird.
Like, cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
But no, I think there's something in like just occasional neighborliness.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Just
occasional
simple.
neighborliness.
Occasional neighborliness.
You're talking about something interesting, which is the problem should be, the problem itself is like reframing to be like, to be a neighbor doesn't necessarily mean to be like a capital N neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean like you need to be like, I am there with the butter. I will repair your fence.
I've got cookies for everyone.
It can literally just be like someone that you're like, hey.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Funny because you talked about I think you gave us a stat at the beginning, Maria, or an insight about the awkwardness of like that people feel.
Yeah.
But Simon, to your point, I personally feel
way more awkward
after seeing somebody like 4 times and haven't once said hello to them.
Yeah.
All right, this is getting a little weird.
We
obviously
the statute of limitations.
And now it just seems like I'm blatantly ignoring you. And now that's like, now things are gotten
that's
really
not
strange.
cool at all. Yeah, exactly.
So I think the question's more like, how do we create more moments when talking to your neighbor just feels completely natural?
Oh,
and
that's
easy.
interesting.
Yeah. And easy.
It doesn't have to be a big thing or a big action.
No.
Yeah.
But also just like, don't be a dick, you know?
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Just be nice.
Help
be nice. Just say
a neighbor
hi.
out, you know?
Especially like the generational, cross-generational one was one that took me a long time.
Yeah.
But man, if you can do that, you can do anything in this world.
You're not limited at all. No limitations. I love it. I mean, I still think we should let puppies loose, but
okay. I
mean, that is a way to cause what we're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certainly
maybe like a contained area. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
We could like let them loose at Shake Shack and like tell people
there's dogs loose at Shake Shack.
The dogs are loose at Shake Shack.
Do you think you could ever like, let's talk about this for a second on a higher loud to play God for a second.
Absolutely.
Do you think you could ever organize like let's say Zillow and other places based on how neighborly the neighbors are as a means to kind of like, and I don't know if people even want that or not, but I'm just wondering like, if you're a person who's like, man, I do like having neighbors.
It's good
to know you're moving to a neighborhood where being neighborly is a good
important
thing.
So like I know there's like walkability.
But maybe you get into the opposite problem where you just have these places that
it'd
are like
be so interesting to see how many
people have
like
no interest in being neighbors and like, do not talk to me.
Yeah.
real aggressive areas.
Yeah.
But right now there's things like walkability scores.
Yeah.
And so there isn't like a neighbor.
The schools. I don't know if there is. I haven't been on it in a while.
because then you'd have to qualify in some way.
You're like, this guy Simon doesn't shut up.
Yeah, like Simon lives
He
there.
hoards your packages.
He hoards. He will
So they
not
come
return your
over with
packages
butter.
on time. He will constantly be asking for butter.
Jesse's going to let your dogs loose.
This woman's going to find a way to get your dog loose and say it's a bonding moment.
It's a bonding experience, guys.
It's going to be really terrifying. Imagine that. It was like hyper specific. You're like, dear God, Zillow, how'd you find that out about me?
Oh boy. We're all in trouble. Okay. But you know what? It's still better than next door. So
It's still better than next door.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you can't have, like, fundamentally on some level, like, you can't have fear of the other.
Yeah.
You can't have fear of the outside. And I agree with your other one, which is like, and you need to show people that being a neighbor doesn't mean like, being an astronaut. Like, there's no commitment level required to just being a decent neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not going from strangers to best friends.
Yeah,
No one's asking for that. Like, you guys don't have to like spend your Friday night together.
No.
Like,
Yeah. I will say on next, I feel like we've spent a lot of time to just tearing Nextdoor apart on this. But Nextdoor, what they did a while ago, they partnered with ClassPass and they gave free classes to people who are,
I think the other thing
like
about
local classes.
Nextdoor is also like, I don't want to crap on the company.
It's what we've done with Nextdoor.
Yeah, it's kind of like sadly a
Yeah.
reflection of where society is right now.
Totally.
Completely.
Yes.
Because like, I bet you there are some places where you're like, wow, that's a surprisingly useful and healthy way to use Nextdoor.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just takes like, it's unfortunately one of those things I've found where it's like, all you need is like the one bad apple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I guarantee Nextdoor started with all of this intention.
100%.
Like, for sure.
Yeah. And then it became like ratting for people breaking COVID protocol.
One thing, I don't know where we are on time, but
we're at 50 minutes.
Okay. You just made me think of this, but actually I think that there's, given the rise of fitness classes and people actually wanting to go back to, like, we've seen, there was a lot of people were working out at home. Now a lot of people are going back to, doing Pilates, Orange Theory, berries, like all of these. I actually think that's a really interesting opportunity to take a rising category and use it as a way to create more neighbor interaction, because usually those fitness classes are, for most people, it's like a habit thing, right?
Yeah.
Every now and then you have new people in class, but I think about my Pilates class and everybody who goes to that class on a repeated schedule, they all live in the neighborhood. We chose this place because it's the closest place to us. And so, and I started to realize as I started going more and more that like, oh, I see that person at the restaurant. And like, I'm like, oh, I go to Pilates with that girl.
It's so
or like,
true.
oh, and I see, and I have started to have no, I've yet to like hang out outside of the class with anyone, but I wonder if there's a way to use, and maybe you don't need to do anything about it. Maybe that's just where it's organically happening, but I see neighborly interaction happening in those spaces. And I wonder if that's a good starting place.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think this also goes back to, how do you encourage like big tech to use geodata for good in some way?
Yeah.
So with fitness, like with a Strava, everyone's local routes. Is there a way to connect people for,
that's cool,
like who want to run with other people, but like local run clubs, like encourage the creation of local run clubs through Strava, because that these people are running in the area and running the same routes.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
That's really cool.
Do you think people are less comfortable with, I'm trying to think of a way of explaining this, unstructured circumstances than they used to be? Because like what you're talking about is like a very specific, like, well, we all agree on this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now I will open up to you a little bit more.
It's kind of, it's interesting. It's like going to a workout class, it eliminates like 5 barriers already. You're like, okay, we're into the same thing.
Yeah.
You're probably you feel like a safe person.
You like Pilates too? That says like 8 things about you that I agree with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is interesting. And it is like a structured space.
And like, even if you look at like things like dating right now, it's based on a profile where you're not like, I don't know how often, and I know this is changing now where people are going back to meeting at bars and stuff like that. But I'm just like, it was just, again, I don't know if this is contributing to the neighborhood thing, but like how are people less comfortable just like sight unseen, knowing nothing, I think going into situations?
I think, yes. Yeah. I think I go back to what you said, Maria, around, and this isn't the only reason, but I think people's fear of like, if I crack this door open a little bit, it's going to become like suddenly this person's going to want too much from me and everything. But
that's also like, who do you think you are?
Yeah. Right.
Like, are you Ryan Gosling? Like, unless you're Ryan Gosling, I wouldn't worry about that.
Don't worry about it. I mean? But
I know.
In that structured space, it's kind of just like, cool. There's a
this ends at the end of the class,
and we walk out together. But you're going to your car, and I'm going to mine. So I know it's like safely over, and it's going to be. I mean, I'm always looking for friends. So for me, this is like not I think how is I live
true
my life, but
probably true for most people. Like you'd think,
I don't think that's true. I think that like. When I go out, I'm making friends literally everywhere. Like that is my. Yeah. I'm just like, hi, hello, stranger. Let's be friends.
Are you making friends or are you having friendly interactions? Because those are two different things.
Depends how much I've had to trade. But generally, I'm just like wildly open to friendship.
Right.
Whether I'm making whether they actually turn out to be good friends
lifelong
or not.
Friends or not.
Like,
you're listening. Your friend curious.
Yeah. Then I'm like, here's my number. Let's hang out. Like, let's be friends. Yeah. But I don't think everybody wants. I think people are lonely, but I don't think that everybody does what it takes to make friends. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I also know like people in my life who are very happy, like they want to go out, they want to be friendly, they want to have a good time because they're a happy, fun-loving person, but they're not particularly looking for friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's
totally.
a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
And they're not like standoffish going like, sorry, dude, got enough friends. But they're just, like there's the very natural way where you're like, that was great. See you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sort of thing.
That's a good t-shirt though. I have enough friends.
Sorry, dude, I have enough friends.
Yeah. Not taking any more friends.
Yeah. Not accepted.
You would look like such a dork. It's
We're gonna make you that
wearing a shirt that says "I'm cool."
I'm cool. Like, don't talk to me.
You're not cool.
I'm too cool.
I'm cool.
Too cool for this cover. All right. Maybe wrap us up.
Okay.
I think we.
All right.
Okay.
Unless you want to talk about puppies again.
I mean, we could go back to puppies, but we are just about at the top of the hour, and I will not let Jesse go back to letting puppies loose. So, Simon, do you think we?
No, give us a summary.
Oh, I have to go through the summary first. Okay, this is my first time hosting.
Perfect.
All right, so we started with the question, how do we get people talking to their neighbors again? We kind of took the question towards the end to how do we get more people, get more moments when talking to their neighbor feels completely natural. Got there, which I think feels sharper. That feels like more of the question we need to be answering. What took us there? There's a lot that's happened over the past decade or so. I think like we've sort of outsourced the need for neighbors is one thing that we were sort of circling around. I'm going to miss a lot. So tell me what I've missed, please. We've gotten less comfortable just with asking for help. There's certain circumstances which bring us together, like as neighbors. It's moments of crisis. Jesse thinks that everyone should just let the dogs out. Let's create micro disasters. I don't know if that's how we cracked it, but maybe. We think that there's a real role for brands, big, tech to play in this, potentially building like
landlords,
landlords. Absolutely. This could be the responsibility of landlords, creating like a quarterly, annual like moment to get people together, creating like a real sense of community in which you don't want to leave. Let's create like a real, true social network, as it always should have been, where we are bringing people together by proximity in a community for good. What else did we talk about? We talked about the benefits of having neighbors, what it means to be a good neighbor. We talked about sort of what's replaced neighbors. Amazon replacing borrowing, TaskRabbit replacing asking for help. We talked about how we could sort of flip that script, and what about like a Strava connecting people who running within, running the same routes.
Perfect.
Flawless. What I miss?
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
was it
pretty damn good?
Oof.
Nailed it.
I was trying to take notes.
Yeah.
Simon,
Yes.
Did we crack it?
I don't think so. It's like one of those like low key, way harder questions than I realize even going in.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, a lot of this, as you were reading back a lot of where we went to, I was like, I actually don't think these are solutions. I actually think these have unintended consequences of making just natural neighborly behavior disappear even quicker.
Yeah.
So like, I think we might have been even down the wrong path.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I think we might have gotten to tactics.
Yeah.
And
I think there's maybe more work than we realize to make people. I think you said it at the beginning, Simon. I wish we had someone on the pod who didn't have strong neighbor experience.
Yeah.
Because maybe there's more work to be done than we realize to help people see why it matters in the first place. And so, sadly, we didn't crack it. But we had some pretty good ideas.
We didn't crack it.
It was a great topic.
We tried.
Though.
We tried. So there's someone who needs to crack it, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But I want to double down on the State Farm opportunity.
That's
though.
it.
That
I thought you were going to say double down on the losing puppies.
Guys, I was willing to move on from that finally. But no, I do think if anyone should hold the responsibility, this is
State Farm, the Good Neighbor Network.
Come on.
So we can't crack it, but State Farm, you can.
You can.
Well,
cool.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Crack It in an Hour. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Crack It in an Hour. If you like the show, please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you have questions, thoughts, or feedback, shoot us an email at hello@crackitpodcast.com or on Instagram @crackitpodcast. Music done by Michael Anastasi, cover art shot by Mick Mint, and all things audio and video taken care of by Nathan Nash. See you next time.